Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me in the studio. Great to have your company. Thank you very much for all your support for PLZ Soccer. And the good news is all the content that you currently watch on our channel and across our social media will remain free. But we are today launching our new PLZ Premium service, a chance for you to check out the link below and hit the subscribe button to join PLZ Premium. It is exclusive additional content. We'll give you the chance to get discount on all our products in our shop, chance to join us on a monthly live football fan show. You'll get a free prize draw, and you also get the opportunity to enjoy some exclusive one-to-ones well ahead of the release. So there's lots of special offers well worth getting on to PLZ Premium if you want additional content for that, and we will keep you right up to date with that a little later on as well. But really excited about it. Lots of great one-to-ones, lots of additional stuff. And Tam, you've offered a wee insight into some favourite players, some favourite movies, some favourite trips, some extra wee additional, favourite concerts.
Which will be interesting. For
some additional stuff, yeah, absolutely. Ruffy, when we do, you obviously, hopefully you will obviously be as honest as you possibly can. Not the autobiography that you did, but clearly an insight into your life away from football.
You may as well just spill the beans now. You've not got long left.
Is it that? Is it?
Yeah.
You may as well just spill the beans.
Give me a run through what the questions are going to be like.
It would be as well.
How long have you got to go, Jack?
It would be better if the basis that Tam has just mentioned there, may as well spill the beans. Anyway, lots to look forward to on today's show. Here's what's coming up.
Brendan Rodgers claims this season could be his best ever as Celtic manager if his side complete the treble. Barry Ferguson says he has no intentions of coaching at another club if he doesn't remain as Rangers boss. Kilmarnock manager Derek McInnes admits anger over missing out the top six. And Arne Slot is desperate to seal the title, with Liverpool requiring just 1 point to be crowned Premier League champions.
Yeah, just a few of the things that we're going to be talking about on the programme. We'll be looking down south at Liverpool on the verge of that English Premier League as well. But Scotland is our focus, as ever, on the football show with the lads here. And we'll be reading out some of your messages. And, of course, delighted that you can support us all the way through the season. It's hard to believe it just flashes in, roughly another one for us. 13 seasons.
Yeah, it certainly does. This is the exciting part. Obviously, the playoffs, relegation, everything right down all the divisions, and everybody will be dying to see how the scores go.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers was talking ahead of the trip to Tannadice, where Celtic can clinch the title. 15 points ahead, 5 games to go. Goal difference looking good, and a point is enough to win the Scottish Premiership again. And they've been so dominant, Brendan Rodgers himself claiming that this could be the best ever. This is what he had to say about it. What we have here is a culture that is built around winning, and then what that takes. The biggest word of that, which is a challenge, is consistency. It's been so satisfying this season, and I'll become even more satisfied, and probably my best season here if we can finish off with these 2 trophies. I've been delighted with what we've put in and how we've recovered from setbacks. It's not easy, I can guarantee that. And I think that backs up basically, Ruffy, what Callum McGregor highlighted earlier on in the week, which is quite simply, you can, and I think he might have been talking about fans and maybe critics of the club, you can get a bit blasé when you're consistently winning the title, but it is a slog. There's a mental strength you need, and there is, of course, the ability to get it over the line.
Yeah, it certainly is. It makes it a lot easier. You've got the players that they've got at their disposal. The other teams just haven't got that. They haven't got the money to back it up. But yeah, you've still got to go out and win games. You've got to go to places like St Johnstone, Ross County, and turn in a performance. I think they've been very good, not for all the season this year. I think some of there was a wee dip at moments. I think the Rangers' defeats will hurt a few people, but they can rectify that in the next one. But yeah, to win 3 trophies any division is fantastic.
Best season ever for Brendan?
No, I think the Invincible one, Peter, when they went unbeaten. I think that was probably his best. Obviously in Europe, they've went further this year. They've got out of the group, and they've got a knockout game against Bayern Munich, which they competed well with. But In terms of their best ever season, I'd probably say it was the Invincible season, but listen, Brendan knows more than us, you know, and as Ruffy says, he's got a strong squad to pick from. He's got competition for places, and the key thing for him is consistency and keeping players hungry for the jersey, and he's done that all season.
I mean, it's an amazing set of statistics. 13th Premiership title in 14 years. And I mentioned there they've got a 15-point lead, Ruffy, with those 5 games remaining. The goal difference alone means that it's just a point at Tannadice. Brendan himself, if he gets the Scottish Cup and the title in the bag, it's Celtic with the 6th treble in 9 seasons, which is outrageous. Obviously, circumstances where Rangers were not in the division, but I would highlight that, you have to say that's not Celtic's fault.
No, it isn't. I'm not taking anything away for Celtic. They've done everything they had to do. They progressed in Europe. It's not Celtic's fault that Hibs and Hearts were horrendous at the beginning of the season. Picked themselves up. Well, Hibs did pick themselves up. And Aberdeen had that, maybe 12, 13 games without a win. So, they'll just concentrate on what they're doing, winning trophies, going to games, winning the games, a lot of them very, very comfortable. And a lot of the times, if you're a supporter, it's a joy to go along and watch the style of football that they play.
Yeah. Should we read too much or look too much into the difference now financially? I hate to highlight it, Tam, but Aurora has said it's funny how Brendan Rodgers never mentions all the bags of money Celtic have. Well, that's because they're a well-run club. And, when Rangers were winning 9 in a row, their main contenders were Aberdeen. Celtic were really 6 out of the 9 seasons not at the races. They were, financially struggling. So Celtic off the park run like a well-oiled machine. Bankers, accountants, people who are well tuned to what they need to do in a business sense, and then you need a good coach. Over the last 13 of those 14 seasons, Celtic have had really good coaches in there.
Yeah, they have, and everybody says, money, 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 Peter, but you've got to spend it properly, and Celtic have done that. They've run all the departments really well, from top to bottom. They've got money, clearly, but they've spent it well. And they've sold players on for big money as well. They've reinvested that in the team. Rangers have had a lot of money over the last few years as well, but they've not spent it well, Peter, and that's why they are where they are. So it's okay saying, you've got money, but you've got to spend it properly. You've got to get the right characters in, right players in, right recruitment. And Celtic have done that consistently over the last 10 years. So listen, it's up to Rangers. It looks as if they're going to get taken over in the summer. They're going to have some money put into them, but they've got to spend it properly. They've got to get an infrastructure at Ibrox that's similar to Celtic, and all the departments are working well, and that reflects on the pitch, and I think that's what Celtic have got, and Rangers need to go and match that in the summer.
Brendan highlighted consistency, Ruffy. I wonder if the other clubs in the Scottish Premiership are open to criticism, taking a point out of what Tam was saying there, which is quite simply, you've got to recruit well, and I wonder if they're obsessed with trying to look for cheap imports rather than maybe developing and making a better fist of it from the Scottish players. And over and above that, maybe are some of them open to criticism of the way they actually go about their business of playing football? Or is it a case that, again, as we've been talking about in the last month, is the league forcing them to play that sort of way where they've just got to say to themselves, well, it's a free hit against Celtic and Rangers, we're just going to defend and take our chances?
Yeah, I mean, we had Stephen Robertson in at the beginning of the week, and he said exactly that. He's got to, scour the whole of Britain, to get the right price and the right person, and it's harder to identify them at the money that he's dealing with. I'm sure every other manager that takes Rangers out of the equation would say, yeah, give me an £11 million player, give me a £6 million player, and I'll put a better shift in it. So I can see where they're coming from. As when Rangers and Celtic go into Europe, they say we can't compete with their teams. Look at the spending, Red Bull, So I feel for the likes of St Mirren and them, they have to year on year they have to go out and compete against a team who can spend that amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, over and above that, though, I think, as Stephen highlighted, and maybe other managers will highlight as well, is if the league lent itself to allowing them to maybe develop and give 50 to 100 games to a Scottish player. But the flip side of that is quite simply a number of these teams will say, yeah, we can give them 50 to 100 games, but English clubs can just cherry pick them at any moment.
Yeah, and you've seen that, I think, at Rangers at the minute with the boy Oliver Goodbrand, who's a really, really promising player. I think Newcastle are going to snap him up. I've said it for so many years on here, Peter. You know, all the top talent in Scotland is getting snapped up by English clubs. You know, they can farm them all. They can come up and take the best players for Hibs and Hearts and Aberdeen and Hamilton Accies and St Mirren's and take them down there, give them 100 grand, 200 grand. It's nothing to them, Peter. You know, all they need is one of them to come through and make it, you know, out of 10 or 11 at the sign. So, yeah, it's difficult for clubs as well now with the Brexit rules. You know, and they're now shopping up in Scotland now. They're shopping in the UK and they're looking for the best up here. So, albeit it's difficult to get 50, 100 games now with the league structure, Peter. But it's also even more difficult because your best young players, before they even get into the first team, are getting sold. So I don't know how they resolve that, how the SFA resolve that, how the clubs resolve that, to be honest.
I think also Celtic fans will be looking and heading to Tannadice in great numbers. Obviously, it's not ideal for them because, you know, a number of them will be heading to Celtic Park hoping the deal is done, the deed is done, the title's in the bag, and then the bus will come back to welcome them to Celtic Park in great numbers. But as far as Tannadice itself is concerned and the players that have played their part, Callum McGregor, the captain, 23 trophies, which is no mean feat. He'll equal Billy McNeil, and 25 would be the eventual total for James Forrest. Which would mean he'd go ahead of Bobby Lennox. I mean, they're not, let's be fair, quite in the same league as Billy McNeil and Bobby Lennox, but I think in the current time that we live in, these two boys should feel tremendously proud of what they've achieved.
Oh, I think these two particularly started off as ball boys. You know, I mean, that's hard to believe. You're a ball boy, now you're a captain, and now you're winning all these trophies. It's a dream come true for any young boy if they supported that particular team to go through all these stages. And at the end of the day, you're standing at Hampden or whatever, and you're lifting a trophy, thinking about the memories of where you were when you were a youngster. It's just an incredible feat for the both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, can you see anything happening other than a Celtic win at Tannadice? Jim Goodwin obviously is looking at it and saying all the focus is on Celtic, so it takes a wee bit of the pressure off United. They don't want to just go there and make up the numbers and become a sideshow.
Yeah, I think Dundee United at home this season have been pretty strong, pretty stuffy, hard to beat. I think they drew. Did they draw up there early in the season with Celtic, or was it maybe Celtic nicked it 1-0? I can't remember, but I remember them giving a real hard game to Celtic up there early in the season. I just think Celtic have got the bit between their teeth at the minute. I think after the St Johnstone game, Brendan's came out, criticised the team, criticised some players, probably done it behind closed doors as well, and they've got a reaction. You know, they scored 5 against Kilmarnock and another 5 last week. So, I think that Celtic up there, and I think they'll steamroller Dundee United. I think if they get an early goal with that big away support behind them, I think they can go and score another 2 or 3. But we'll just have to wait and see. I'll go for Celtic to win comfortably.
Yeah, the first game at Tannadice, Ruffy, ended 0-0. Yeah. Then Celtic have had 5 goals without reply in the other 2 games, 2-0 and a 3-0.
Yeah, I think Dundee United have just went off the boil a wee bit. They're relying on one goal scorer, the boy Darby, him up front. Sam Dalby, they're relying on him. He's sort of dried up a wee bit just now. You can't see where the goals are coming from. They are squeaking out games 1-0 here and there. But one won't be enough, I think, against Celtic tomorrow.
You're a hard man, Ruffy. The goals have dried up a wee bit for one game. He scored an absolute beauty against Hearts the week before.
If you shut your eyes...
I think about my drought, Ruffy, if that was one game. It was mine.
I know, but if it was...
A pandemic.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a time when he was scoring every week and you were relying on him scoring every week, but I honestly couldn't sit here and tell you who the Dundee United player who's the second top goal scorer.
Yeah, okay.
They're quite solid defensively, Peter. You know, and
I think you should be tremendously proud, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. They're still running for third place. I think they would have preferred Celtic towards the end. You know, obviously, but I suppose Hibs are playing Aberdeen if they can pick anything up. But I don't think they'll finish third. But you're right. I think he's done tremendously at Dundee United this year.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to finish third. Just on a point that Callum McGregor also pointed out, and again, you know, listen, we as members of the press go in and you swamp over a player and you want to ask as many questions as possible. The main topic is, of course, that Brendan Rodgers will be looking to shift a few players out, bring a few players in. The Celtic fans, like Rangers fans, like Hibs and Hearts, start going, well, he's out, he's a dud, he's not working, keep him, lose him. But Callum McGregor was jumping to the defence of Greg Taylor, hoping that a deal could be done. And he says Greg Taylor is the best inverted fullback in Europe. And I don't agree with Callum on that. I think it's probably good that his captain is very, very complimentary about him.
I think he's the best fullback in our Premiership. I think he's tremendous in the Premiership, particularly the way Celtic play at home. You know, I think he fits into that bill. Defensively, yeah. I mean, he's not the greatest, but neither is Andy Robertson, the greatest defender in the world. But going forward, he's got a lot of tremendous balls into the box. He scored goals as well, so I think he's been an absolute asset. But the decision isn't Celtic's; it's his.
That's an interesting line from him. I don't even agree with you on that line. That he's the best fullback in the country. He's certainly in the top 5.
Who do you think's better than him?
Well, I mean, as an attacking fullback, it's slightly
Alistair Johnston.
I think Alistair Johnston's more consistent. But Alistair Johnston's also an ever-present in the European stage. But Ruffy's point is, domestically, who's better than him? If I was picking somebody in a left-back role and somebody could possibly be criticising me here because of the 3-5-2 that Hibs have now adopted, but I would take Nicky Cadden all day. I think his distribution into the box as an attacking fullback is second to none. I think he's been absolutely marvellous every time I've seen him.
Yeah, and obviously they play a different system for Celtic. Celtic play the 4 and they play 3, and the wing back suits them. Yeah, but
is Greg Taylor a better player than Nicky Cadden? Am I being unkind to Greg? I'm a fan of Greg Taylor.
Yeah, no, I think Greg Taylor's a better player. I like Nicky Cadden. I think he's excellent, but I think you've got to look at their overall careers, and I think that Greg's played at a far higher level. But I think if you're Greg Taylor and Greg Taylor's agent, you're delighted that Callum Gregor's come out and said that.
Yeah, is he the best fullback then? If I can't pick one, is there somebody better?
In terms of a left back, I think
Enrice.
Nah, I think Greg Taylor's the best left back in Scotland. But I think that, you know, in terms of who've Rangers got?
Yilmaz.
Yeah, no, I think he's better
Jeffy.
than no, I'll go for Taylor. I think he's underrated, Peter. I've said it all season. I think he's really, really underrated. I think he was a scapegoat in the Champions League games. You know, maybe teams target him at the back post and stuff. But you're playing. Remember he played against the boy, Elise, that scored at Parkhead. The ball kind of ricocheted off him. He came inside him and put it in the roof of the net, and he gets slaughtered for it. But I think he has been a wee bit of a scapegoat at times, but I think he's a really, really good player, Greg Taylor.
Yeah.
Underrated.
It's a great argument. Give us your thoughts on it. Ruffy thinks he's the best fullback in the country. Callum McGregor thinks he's the best inverted fullback in Europe. Do you agree with that? Always good to get a talking point on that. Dundee United against Celtic. How do you see it going, Ruffy?
I'm going to go Celtic to win 2-1.
3-0 Celtic.
3-0 to Celtic. Okay, you can give us your thoughts on that. Can't see anything other than a Celtic win for that one. St Mirren against Rangers. Interesting one, this one, because obviously we had Stephen Robinson in talking about the delight at getting that 6-figure fee for to Yusei Olasanya, who's off to America. But when you look at this game against Rangers, the interesting news is coming out of the Rangers press conference, because Barry Ferguson clearly is going to be bombarded with questions now. Can he get the manager's job? Does he want the manager's job? What talks have taken place? All of these questions thrown at him, and this is what he had to say.
If I get the job, I will make my club a better club. If I don't get the job, I'll still support my club. That's the way I'm looking at it. I've got 5 games to go. The final game's on the 17th of May. My focus is on this next few weeks. There's been a few bumps since I've come in. I knew that was going to be the case, but I wasn't frightened of that. But I know what this club needs.
Okay, he's demanded 5 wins. He wants 15 points from the 5 games. Does he need to get 15 points to even throw himself in as a contender?
I think the wheels are in motion now for the people are coming in. The boy for Everton, I think it's just drifting away from him just now. I think that Atletico result, you know, if he'd won that, he'd have had a better chance. I think the fans are resigning now that he's not big enough to get it. I think they're looking for somebody big. We all always say, who is that Mr. Big that's going to get it right? I don't think he's done anything wrong. I don't think the 5 wins will get him the job. I think wheels are in motion just now to identify who the next manager is going to be.
Do you think it's going to be somebody from the past?
No,
I don't think it's going to be Jose Mourinho.
No.
Do you think they're going to look to Gerrard again, or is Kevin Thelwell going to come up with somebody as sporting director?
I don't know. I listened to Kevin Thelwell yesterday on I think it was Rangers TV on the club channel, and he spoke about his time at New York Red Bulls. He spoke about recruiting players for a certain style of play. You know, they had a certain criteria for players to come in. You know, they had to play a certain way for Red Bulls, and that was the manager as well. That was the whole ethos of the club. So I think he'll do the same. I think he'll have a big say in bringing the manager in, Kevin Thelwell, with the new owners, and I think that they will go down a route where they're going to play a certain way. They're going to give certain manager who wants to play a certain way, who wants to buy certain players. So I don't think Barry's going to be the manager. It's interesting to hear him saying that if he doesn't manage Rangers, then he wouldn't manage anyone else. I don't know about that one, Peter. I thought maybe coming back into Rangers, he'd maybe get the bug back for coaching, and I think he's done reasonably well. He's put himself in a short window for other jobs. So do I see him going back to that ambassador role at Rangers? If another club comes in for him, a decent club, then I'm not so sure on that one, but I don't think he'll be the Rangers manager.
What's a decent club in Scotland?
It might be a decent, I don't know, a Premier League club in Scotland, another Premier League club, maybe a club in England, I don't know. But I think he's done well enough at Rangers for other chairmen and other clubs to go, he might be worth taking a punt on.
Yeah. I just, again, I reiterate my opinion, Ruffy, that I cannot see him go back as an ambassador. I don't see how you can waltz around the hospitality suites if a manager gets off to a bad start and everybody's giving it. Barry, what do you make of that? Mm-hmm. Every line he opens his mouth, they'll be all over him.
Yeah, I agree with that, 100%.
Can you have a manager knowing he's hovering about in the ground?
As an ambassador, he'd probably get away with it. I think he's justified a coaching slot somewhere. You know, I know he wouldn't want to go into the academy or anything like that, but...
you don't give Barry Ferguson a coaching job when he's been the manager.
I think
he's sitting in the background then waiting. It's almost as if you've got somebody on your shoulder.
He would rather be in the coaching staff than being an ambassador, I would think, if that was offered to him, you know, because he's still... You know how much the club means to him, and... Barry Ferguson's another one. He's calling the shots here. You know, he's the one that decides when they come to him and offer him whatever, whether he wants to do it or not. The manager's job, he'll have had an eye opener of what it's like being in a club like Rangers and having to manage 24 hours. He's been down to England. He's been to Blackburn. He's been to Blackpool. He knows the drift down there. It depends whether he's seen it and done it, and he's now achieved what he wanted to do his whole life, would be the manager of Rangers, whether he wants to take a step back and just enjoy his life.
Tam?
I agree with Ruffy there. It depends on Barry, Peter. He might, as Ruffy says, he's fulfilled his dream. He's played for Rangers. He's managed Rangers. He might go back to that ambassador role and be quite happy, you know, and going out and meeting supporters and doing speakers' nights and stuff like that. And yeah, it might just be what he wants at the minute, but I don't know. I just think when you experience the highs that he has, you know, going to Fenerbahce and winning, and going and playing in a little Balboa Stadium in a quarter final, surely you get a wee itch that you think that I could still be a manager here if someone comes in for me. So I didn't agree with him kind of shutting that door today on any other coaching roles.
Yeah, Brian, who's sometimes contentious on our feed, says it's obvious Sean Dyche will be the new Rangers manager. Watch this space.
No.
Not a chance. Not a chance. I'm curious to see what Kevin Thelwell decides to do. It's a big, big call for him. You walk in the job and you're automatically... One, the experience that he does have, you know, from Everton to the MLS, you'll be looking and saying to yourself, okay, the demands are unbelievably different for Rangers on this one.
Definitely. You know, anybody that comes in that front door will realise how big a club it is, you know, and the demands we've already seen. The supporters demand that you win the big games as well as, you know, most of the other ones. So it's something that, all right, Everton is a big, big club, and I suppose the American football is big, but I think the Rangers as a club is absolutely humongous throughout the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Suddenly they come up against St Mirren. If he wants those 15 points, he needs to get a win at a place where, you know, they've had a good battle on their hands. St Mirren have actually got the best record against Rangers this season, 2 wins, 1 loss.
Yeah, but a tricky game, Peter, and we've seen Rangers, you know, at times, particularly away from home this season, getting bullied at times. I know St Mirren obviously beat them around about Christmas time at St Mirren Park. under the previous manager, but that's a really tricky game for Rangers. Depends how motivated Rangers players are now. You know, it's Barry's, it's up to him and the staff to make sure they're motivated to go and finish the season strongly, but they've got nothing to play for, really. A lot of those players, so, you know, it just depends what frame of mind they turn up on. St Mirren, I think, will keep battling away. They've still got a slight chance to get into Europe, and they'll keep battling away, you know, but Stephen Robinson, they'll battle hard, and it just depends what Rangers turn up here. If it's a strong Rangers performance and they go in there and they're up for it, and you can see in the first 15-20 minutes, then they would go win the game. But if they're slightly off it at all, I think St Mirren will take a scalp.
Yeah, St Mirren, Stephen Robinson, he says he wants the 10 points. He's going to battle away to see if he can somehow get, you know, a phenomenal set of results to give them a chance, an outside chance, it has to be said, long shot at best to get European football. But nevertheless, you certainly feel heartened by the fact that they've taken Rangers' scalp on 2 occasions. The blow for Rangers, Yilmaz's out for the rest of the season, but I'm not so sure about the fact that there's no meaningless games. I mean, if anything, Barry's demanded 15 points, but sometimes, Ruffy, you know what it's like. Sometimes you get a situation where an Old Firm win at Ibrox suddenly changes the mindset of some fans, depending on the way you can win the game, if they indeed do win it. Because if Celtic win at Dundee United, what happens, Tam? They all celebrate, the champagne's out in the dressing room, they head back to Celtic Park, they have a few scoops there, they maybe get a chance to get a couple of days off, and before you know it, it's May 4th, it's Ibrox. Is there any real motivation? You've won the league.
Yeah, and I think Brendan Rodgers handled the last one when they get beat at Parkhead quite comfortably. You know, he sort of shrugged it off as this, well, it's another game.
Ahead, yeah.
It's another game, blah, blah, blah. And I think the same would happen if Rangers were to beat them at Ibrox, you know, because obviously for me, the cup final at the end of the season is the one that all the supporters remember. If you win it, that gives you 2 months for the supporters to celebrate with that cup win. And I think you touched on it there, there'll be certain Rangers players now going, am I going to be here next year? You know, am I out the door?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have a dressing room and maybe 4 or 5 guys going, you know, do I need to put a shift in here to get a move, or am I going to get offered a contract? Be interesting to see. He said he's going to get a couple of young boys a chance. Be interesting to see if he throws a couple of young boys in to see what they can do. I think supporters always like to see young boys getting a game, but if you're saying he wants to win the last 5 games, I don't think he'll do that with youngsters.
Yeah, amazingly though, I think the one that's going to be heading out the door, I think it'll be the last 5 games of James Tavernier as captain. I think James Tavernier will look and say to himself, well, I've put my shift in, I've done my bit, I've taken a lot of criticism, maybe not won as many titles as people think he should have, but he scored a heck of a lot of goals, and I think he'll probably look and say to himself, time for pastures new.
Yeah, listen, I think individually, Peter, he's been a tremendous fullback for Rangers. I think individually, in terms of his goals, his assists, and big games, but I think when you're a captain of Rangers, you're judged on trophies. And he hasn't won enough trophies at Rangers. You know, that's not completely his fault. He's played in some poor teams. You know, he was obviously part of the team that stopped 10 in a row, which that whole squad will go down in history as well, Peter. Yeah. But
that's a few dinners, Tom.
That is, you know, that squad that stopped to 10, you know, will go down in folklore with the Rangers supporters. But I think overall, when you look at him individually, great player for Rangers. But as a Celtic Rangers player, you're judged on how many trophies did you win, and unfortunately for him and Rangers, they didn't win enough, and that's what ultimately, when you're at Old Firm, you're judged on winning.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we've got...
Still not going to be upset when that call comes through Saudi.
At the end of the day, if James Tavernier gets a call from Saudi with massive amounts of money, roll on. Aberdeen against Hibs. Just out of curiosity, how do you see it going, St Mirren Rangers?
I think St Mirren will get a draw, go for 1 each.
Yeah,
no, I think Rangers will sneak a 2-1 win.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go for a draw on that. I'm with you on that, Tam. I'm not so sure. I wonder about the motivation. No need to get everybody up for a game against Celtic, but St Mirren, they've proved to be a real thorn in their side this season. What do you think? Give us your point of view on that. That's 2 games down that we've been talking about. Dundee United against Celtic. Is it going to be title celebrations for Celtic? 55 is the number, Tam, and I lay odds on quite a few T-shirts. There'll be the videos, there'll be the noise-ups, but 55 titles for Celtic now.
Yeah, and obviously Rangers clinched 55 by stopping 10 in a row, and you know, they obviously milked that with the merchandise, and I think Celtic will will do the same. I think all clubs, when they win a big number in terms of trophies and stuff, they'll get the DVDs and the videos and the T-shirts out and have a lot of banter. But yeah, I think that's only a matter of time before Celtic go further ahead of Rangers.
Yeah, okay. Give us your thoughts on that as well. And Rangers fans out there, if Barry gets 5 wins out of 5, including a win over Celtic, does he really put himself at the forefront of your mind? Are you still in the Barry camp, or are you now looking and thinking Kevin Thelwell, the sporting director, will be looking elsewhere at a new name that's going to take Rangers forward, build the club, have that strategy that John Bennett mentioned, that interim chairman, of course, John mentioned as well to us, Gilligan, on countless occasions, which is quite simply, you've got to have a long-term strategy, you've got to recruit better, the structure of the club needs to be put back in place at all levels. Give us your thoughts on that as well. Before we go to talk about Aberdeen Hibs, Tam's been quite loud in his column and of course on our programme about the Hibbies and some of the players that were not in the Team of the Year. We'll get his thoughts on that after we let you see what we're offering now. All our content at the moment that you watch is absolutely free and it will remain so, but we're offering a new PLZ premium service.
PLZ Soccer is the #1 digital sports channel in Scotland, and we're offering you the chance to sign up to our exclusive PLZ premium service.
All our existing content and weekly programmes across all our channels absolutely free of charge. PLZ Premium is offering you exclusive additional content to enjoy.
PLZ Premium offers you exclusive benefits on top of your monthly subscription.
The first 1,000 subscribers will receive a special A4 Legends poster as a PLZ Premium member.
You'll get exclusive video content, including a special Peter Martin Straight Talk 1-to-1 with a legend of the beautiful game.
Every month you'll have exclusive access to ask questions on our special live stream, and you can join us by live video link up.
You also get discounts on official merchandise,
early access to tickets for our live events and exclusive behind the scenes footage.
We have a special free draw for premium members with the chance to win a Legends t-shirt.
Come and join the football family and be part of our brand new premium service on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel.
PLZ Soccer, delivering you the best coverage of Scottish football. Wherever you are, we are.
Oscar Robbie, it's just the way you read it. You know, it's that kind of, you've managed to retain that kind of a wooden, I'm trying to remember the one.
It's the head that goes like that, it follows the lines.
You know. Ronald Villiers.
That's exactly it, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Listen, you, Paul Brady says, Tam, you're a lump of wood. Absolutely. Anyway, if you want additional content, access to our events as well, we've got an absolute belter coming up that I think you're going to enjoy. We're launching on Monday. 2 former managers coming together. I've never seen them together on a night out, and the stories are going to be absolutely fantastic. We'll tell you about that on Monday, but our PLZ premium service is up and available now to you, and there's lots of really good exclusive content coming for that. Anyway, Aberdeen against Hibs. What a game this is going to be. Some people are raging. Michael Stewart's raging because it's not on normal television. There could be a queue, longer than Bonnie Blue at your house. Just people trying to get into people trying to get in to watch the game.
It's disappointing that that game's not on the telly. Duffy's like that. Don't you pretend you don't know who that is. No, listen, it's going to be a fantastic game. I think when you look at both teams where they're on the table, Hibs got up there, probably win the game. I think they'll all but clinch third place. Aberdeen won it. I think they're level in points with them. So really, really big game. Hibs, big boost today. Jack Iredale signed a new deal, and obviously David Gray signed a new contract, which is well deserved as well. So they get into the game on a high, one up at Aberdeen early in the season, and you're just looking at maybe 4 points for the next 2 games for Hibs, and they've got the third in the bag.
Should it be on the telly?
Yeah, it should be, Peter. I think that.
Really?
Why shouldn't it be? Of course it should. It's a battle for third place.
Well, it's Dundee United against Celtic, and Celtic are going to win the title.
Well, I think Aberdeen Hibs should always be in the telly. I think that's a big game.
Do you give it to Premier Sports?
I don't know what they'll do, Peter. I don't
know.
But
I'm saying, should you?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah. I think that. Yeah. I think there should be games kept aside towards the end of the season with something to play for, with something on the line. Listen, you can't predict Aberdeen Hibs is going to be a third place shootout, but Yeah, I think that games like that, of that ilk and that magnitude, should always be on the TV for fans to watch. But listen, it'll be a full house at Pittodrie. Hibs have took a good allocation up there, and it'll be a great atmosphere, and I'm sure that it'll be covered on club TV. So, no, I just hope that Hibs can go and get a win and near enough clinch third place.
Is Tam indicative of this generation who demand that television dictates, and gets what it wants and should be allowed to show that sort of game, where really, apart from club TV out with the UK shores, you've got guaranteed an absolute sellout up there at Pittodrie. The place will be buzzing.
It'll be a great atmosphere, but obviously, like everything, there's a lot of fans won't be able to get to that game. Probably more not seeing it than are actually seeing it. So Tam's right, if you can keep, an avenue of games, important games up your sleeve that you can use. But certainly when you see some of the dross that get shown at the weekend, particularly down in England, some of the games they show there, I think Aberdeen and Hibs would just outshine most of them.
Yeah, 2-0 to the Dundee Dons tomorrow, says Aurora. I hope Tam is heading to the game to witness our dazzling flag display. When was the last time you were at a game?
It's been a while, Peter, aye.
Yeah.
Been a while.
It's not really quite good, is it? It's not really good enough, is it?
I'd rather watch them on my big satellite telly.
Exactly. There's no point in talking to you about it. You two dimwits haven't been to see Scottish Premiership football.
Can you see your screen for the jacuzzi?
Yeah, absolutely. But
you should know.
Yeah. Nevertheless, I think it's going to be a fabulous atmosphere. Our man Kobe will be there. Flags. You love flags.
Full stand will
think
just be covered. There'll be two wee guys holding a big 40-foot flag.
Do you think the flamethrower will be there?
Yes, that's the new American thing. As long as it's controlled by the club. Yeah. Not in the stands.
Okay. Can I just say...
Let's just hand flamethrowers out of the front.
Can I just say, two more wins guarantees Hibs, European football, and it'll be a fantastic season. And no surprise, David Gray, he signed a new deal. He's just been unbelievable. A new 3-year contract with the club, which is no more than he deserves.
Yeah, it's incredible the season that Hibs have had. He looked like a dead man walking for a large part early in the season. I think Dundee away, 4-1. A catalogue of errors for the defenders. A goalkeeper was hopeless. You just thought to yourself, it's only a matter of time before David gets the bullet and Hibs go with someone else. 3-2 down. Esther Sokler scores overhead kick. 3-2 down. You're thinking, right, that's it. And then Big Rocky Bashiri pops up. Tackles the ball into the net for 3 each. And ever since then, Peter, it's been a totally different, scenario at Hibs. It's been tremendous. They've went unbeaten for a long period of time. Rocky Bashiri's come back into form. They changed the goalkeeper. Jordan Smith's come in, been excellent. Jack Iredale's come into the team. They went 3 at the back. I think David Gray's just united the whole club. I think the whole club's behind him now. The supporters are behind him. Winning big games, beating Hearts. Beating Celtic, beating Rangers. And climbing up that table. So, I think he thoroughly deserves it. Him, Liam Craig, Samson, and the staff. I think they all deserve big credit for turning it around. But
Eddie May.
They all deserve credit. I've not got my glasses on. Listen, they all deserve massive credit. It's thoroughly deserved because, listen, the supporters love David Gray for what he done in the cup final, scoring that goal. They're all behind him. They're all willing him to do well, and it's great to see him doing well at the minute. But they've still got a wee bit of work to do to finish third. But he thoroughly deserves that contract.
Yeah, and the reason why he's been able to turn it around, Ruffy, is I think he's made conscious decisions to change the way the side has played. That 3 at the back has worked really well. The 2 attacking fullbacks, the Cadden brothers, have been fantastic. Lewis Miller's come in at times. I think Lewis Miller's got a long way to go. He's obviously, they're going to keep him at the club as well. But I think he's got to look at the Cadden brothers and try and take a leaf out of their book on distribution. I think he needs to work on that. But going forward, in the middle, Joe Newell can't get a game. In the middle, they've got it right. Iredale's just signed a new deal as well, extended his contract. And then you've got Martin Boyle, 16 goals, Ruffy. That's no mean feat.
No, and he went off the Boyle without the pun.
Hey!
And now, they're playing to his strengths now. He seems to have just got the team right, the right players in the right positions, because if we remember back to the beginning of the season, it was kamikaze stuff. Some of the goals that were losing and some of the particular players that were in the team just weren't good enough, and he sorted it out. He's identified three at the back's best, the two wide boys, and getting the boy to boil as often as quick as possible. And I think I don't think there's been a failure, and this is without Newell, who was the main man in the middle. They haven't had him all season. So, yeah, you have to give them credit for everything they've done.
Peter, everybody knows their job at Hibs. I think when you look at throughout the team, the goalkeeper knows his job. Defenders defend. They go and head at the kick it. They don't take chances at the back. Wing backs push up. They put early balls into the box for two strikers. Boyle runs in behind. Whether it's Kukurevich coming short or Eli Johan, whoever it was, Kieran Bowie. The midfield players are all combative in there. They all win second balls. And they're all on the same page. They all know what they're doing. They're all organised and they're all aware of their jobs, Peter. And I think that's been a clear change from early in the season, where a lot of players were letting them down. Individual errors, goalkeepers, defenders making mistakes. So no, I think that definitely, that's been a difference for me, changing it to 3-5-2 and just everyone on the same page.
Yeah. Okay. It's as we head towards the end of the season, we're asking the question on the game, but also who's going to finish third. Rob Lilly says third Hibs, fourth Paisley Saints, fifth Aberdeen, which would be an interesting twist on it. Have you changed your mind? I've gone for Hibs for quite a long time.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Hibs as well.
Yeah.
I think the momentum's with. If you see any of the end of the season games, momentum means everything. If you're winning games, you're confident in beating anybody. Obviously, these teams at the top have got obviously Rangers and Celtic to contend with, so they'll be looking at the other teams, and if they can beat they three, then they've got a chance.
Before you give me your prediction on it, Jimmy Tulleen doesn't see this game as a must-win.
I think we always have to think like right now and never give up anything. Like we have to fight for everything till the end of the last game of the season, the last points. That's for me. It's whatever happens tomorrow, we're gonna try to win this game. We know it's important, but it's the character of the team, and who knows? Maybe we win the last four and they lose two, or whatever. But let's see. I don't want to speculate. As you said, we'll go for the game tomorrow.
Yeah, he's not going to be on it. I think Hibs are going to win it.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Hibs 2-1, Peter. I think that will all but seal it. And I think they've got Dundee United at home.
They've got Rangers at home and then Celtic and St Mirren away.
Aye. So listen, I think the fixtures have turned out well. I think this is a crucial one. Hibs can't afford to lose it. I think a draw would be fine, because I would expect Celtic to beat Dundee United, but a win would just about clinch third place. I'll go for 2-1 to Hibs.
Yeah, the Dandies, they've got 3 games at home, roughly. They've got Celtic at home. They've got 2 games at home. They've got Hibs, and then they've got Celtic, and then they've got 3 games away, and of course they've got the cup final.
Yeah, I will say that the 3 home games are important. 3 points is massive at this stage of the season. I can't split the two of them. I'm going to go for 1 each tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. What's your thoughts on it? Who's going to finish third? Who is going to sneak it? Will it be David Gray celebrating, or Jimmy Tulleen, who's slowly but surely steadied the ship again and could land that piece of silverware at Hampden as well? You can't rule out the Dons in a one-off game. Can they defeat Celtic and stop them winning the treble? Is it going to be title celebrations up at Tannadice? Give us your thoughts on that. Who's manager of the year for you as well? We'd love to know your thoughts on that. Suddenly, I'm looking at Hearts against Dundee in the bottom 6 games, and boy, it's one of those things where I'm going to closely look at the home attendance and whether there's any real motivation for Hearts fans to be going into hospitality, to be supporting the side the way they have over the course of the season, because they are bitterly disappointed.
Yeah, listen, I think that obviously it's been a really disappointing season from a Hearts point of view. Started poorly, had a little bit of an upturn under Neil Critchley, but just faded at the end. A couple of really winnable games, Dundee United and Motherwell, they didn't win any of them. When one win would have got them into the top 6. So, no, I think the fans will still turn out, Peter. I think they'll still be there, and they'll still be there in their numbers and supporting the team, but they need to start winning games, and I think Neil Critchley needs to finish the season strongly. I said it last week. I think he needs to go and win 4 or 5 of the games, and really...
To save his job?
Yeah, I think so, and really show that, listen, okay, we didn't get in the top 6, but we're building for the future, and the supporters can see it. he's got a perfect opportunity, Peter. There's no really much pressure on them at all. You know, they've got in the bottom 6, they've got 5 games that they should be winning, you know, winnable games, and they should be going and winning, you know, 4 or 5 of them. So, yeah, I think he's got to win. I think he will beat Dundee. I think they will win, and but yeah, I think he needs to finish the season strongly. If he don't beat Dundee, the pressure will increase again for him.
Well, he's got 3 home games, roughly, before the end of the season. He's got Dundee, he's got Ross County away, then it's Motherwell and St Johnstone at home, and then Kilmarnock away in the last day.
Well, you look at the 3 home games, you would think that on their day they should be comfortable enough to win them, but pressure can do a funny thing, you know, and I think if they don't win tomorrow, you'll hear the Hearts fans airing their views. I think there could be quite a lot of uproar if Dundee were to beat Hearts tomorrow. Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Banners?
Well, there won't be flamethrowers, that's for certain, but I have to tell you this, I think he's going to get the summer to get players in.
So.
Yeah, I think they're going to stick with him. I don't see them sacking him unless if you lost 5 games, people would have to say, look, enough is enough.
He's got to win 3 or 4 of the games, Peter. He's got to.
The home games particularly.
Yeah, and then maybe he could sustain losing to Ross County and Kilmarnock.
Yeah, but not only is he coming out and criticising, for a long time now, the board are getting criticised.
Yeah.
Now they're having a go at the board now. You're the ones that have made a mess of this. You've done this, you've done that. So that's not a good thing either. So the only way to shut that up is winning games, and that's what they have to do.
Okay, do you think they're going to win?
Yeah, I think Dundee are on free fall.
Yeah.
Going to go Hearts 2-0.
Yeah, I think Hearts 2-1. I think they might just nick it. I think he's got to do something.
2-1 to Hearts. I think Dundee will score.
Yeah.
2-1.
Okay, Killie against Ross County. Boy, Derek McInnes not happy playing bottom 6 games.
I'm fine with the game. I'm annoyed that we're in this situation, but I'd rather not be in the bottom 6. But the fact we are in the bottom 6, and we've got to be honest and say that there's not been a lot between us. We've not been good enough to get away from the teams that are in and around us, but we've still got that opportunity now to deal with it. So just try to be as professional and switched on as possible, and just deal with what's in front of us.
Yeah, you can understand why he's miffed with it, and the reason I think that we've highlighted time and time again is sometimes, okay, Vassell's one player. He's a big player for them. He was the captain. He could bring other players into the game, scores a goal, but really, really good at holding the ball up. It's amazing when you lose that linchpin, how they've really kind of lost so many games. It hasn't looked good for them. They've got 3 home games as well, with a trip away to St Johnstone and Motherwell.
Yeah, listen, I've been disappointed with Kilmarnock this season, Peter. I think that when you see how good they were last season, you know, they finished in the top 6, they got into Europe, you know, played a real good attacking brand of football. I think Danny Armstrong's really off the boil this year. I think he was a big catalyst for them last year. His goals, Vassell's probably their key player. I think if you took Callum McGregor out of the Celtic team, I think it'd be similar to that. You know, he's a key player for them. Danny Armstrong's been poor this season. They've missed his boy Kennedy for a while. I think Stuart Finley's been injured, so they have had some injuries to key players. But I just think they are where they are. They deserve to be, Peter. I don't think they deserve to be in the top 6, and they're in a real relegation scrap. You know, I think they probably need another 4 points maybe. But Ross County and Kilmarnock, you know, probably settle for a draw here. I think that, you know, 4 points would probably get them safe. I think that when you look at, I think St Johnstone are gone, and then when you look at the clubs below them, you know, Dundee, Ross County, I think Kilmarnock will just scrape it. But if they get beat off of Ross County, then they're banging that playoff shout.
Yeah, I'm gonna suggest that Dundee I've said they'll lose it to Hearts. I think Dundee might just scrape a point above Ross County in this playoff battle.
Yeah, I think Dundee have got better players than Ross County. And I think a lot of the games have been playing attractive football. They've been scoring goals, unfortunately losing a lot of bad goals. I think if a crunch came, the Dundee-Ross County game, I don't know where that is, but that could be the crucial one for me. But because I can't see Ross County winning many games away from home. At home, I can see them winning games. So that Ross County game against Dundee will be crucial for me.
It's at Dens Park. It's the second last game of the season.
Well, you've got to fancy Dundee there.
Yeah. Well, we got up to Dundee. It's been a while since you've been up at Dundee.
Yeah, that's quite like the stadium.
You were wearing your big onesie and you went to the toilet at half time and never came back for about an hour.
That's true, yes. Yeah. I don't remember that clearly, yeah. What's that smell?
I think the last thing the Dundee fans wanted to see in a relegation battle was me walking into the ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they would just go.
You are the Jonah. And to be fair, Stephen Robinson doesn't want to see me at St Mirren games just in case I bring him bad luck as well. But I'm amazed. I mean, I've got a lot of time. I'm not against Don Cowie and Ross County. I just think Derek's a good manager. I like Derek. I've known him for a long, long time. And I look at the side and I look at what he achieved. I think European football absolutely killed them this year. It stretched their resources and put them in this downward spiral. And they've never really recovered at times, not only from setbacks with injuries, but just getting any kind of momentum. But I think they'll have enough. 1-0 against County.
Yeah, I think they'll win at home as well. I think Kilmarnock's problem has been that, as Tam's identified there, 5 players you had injured there, didn't you? And they had nothing in reserve. They had no quality replacing that, and that was their downfall because they relied so much on these big players to win games for them. But I do think they're good enough to win at home.
One each for me, Peter. I think Ross County got a point. Right?
Okay, Motherwell against St Johnstone. I'll tell you one thing, great credit to Motherwell. They really are putting in some great effort to try and get their fans on board, get them involved in the community. They're promotional. I mean, I know all clubs start to put out promotional videos to get people in the season tickets. Celtic have got Martin Compston out, talking about come and join the club. Motherwell have really kind of emphasised the community and come round and support your local club. And great credit to all the clubs for putting it out. I saw Motherwell's video this week and I thought, yeah, brilliant. They really work hard at it. They've got a home game against St Johnstone. We think St Johnstone are gone?
It's a must-win game. I think if Motherwell win this, I think they're 10 points ahead of St Johnstone at the minute. If they win this, I think that's them safe. Is that right, Peter? 10 points ahead of bottom at the minute?
Yeah, I don't think Motherwell are in any danger of getting relegated or even in a playoff.
No, I think they might. I mean, if they lose every game, then they might be. But I think...
Yeah, they're not going to, have
No, I think if they can pick up a point against St Johnstone or even a win, then they're safe. But St Johnstone are scrapping for their lives. A real sore one against Celtic, obviously, in the semi-final. But they've definitely picked up the performance in the league, Peter, and gave themselves an opportunity. But I think Motherwell will win this at home. I think Motherwell just know one more win gets them safe, and they don't want to get even within 7 points of St Johnstone with 4 games left. So I think Motherwell will win it. Just edge it 2-1.
Here's the Motherwell boss, Michael Wimmer.
So who wants to stay? Who wants to play for this club? This is so lovely now for me to see this. Who let his heart on the pitch to play for Motherwell and to help to secure the status in the league as soon as possible, and this is for me perfect, and this is also influence my decisions for the squad for next season.
Well, he's thrown down the gauntlet. Do you want to stay?
Yeah.
I think he's already made up his mind. There's about maybe 10 players that will be looking to go elsewhere. He'll be going out the door, some going back to their parent clubs. He'll get a chance to bring his own style of player in that he'll be able to run about because he wants a high press.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. I think...
Lennon Miller will be gone as well.
Yeah, and that'll be money he can play with. I don't know how much that money would be. But certainly there are players there that have to move on. It looks as if Motherwell's at a stage now when they need, a whole overhaul, to get them back on track again.
Yeah. Okay, Motherwell to win 2-1.
2-1, yeah, for me.
2-1. We're all there, 2-1. Okay. Thanks to so many of you for putting your opinions out. We try and read out as many of them as possible. Some people just making statements. And Mark Simpson says, Peter, every treble Celtic won in this period of domination, Rangers were in the league. Yeah, listen, Mark, full marks to it. I'm not in any way disputing that. I'm just saying, I just pointed out that, when Celtic won... in this 13 out of 14 seasons, there was a period where Rangers were not in the league, but it wasn't Celtic's fault. Celtic just have to keep winning the games against what is put in front of you. And my point is that when Rangers were winning their 9 in a row, Celtic were, poor. 6 out of the 9 that Rangers won, Celtic were not the main contender. And again, this time around, I think Brendan Rodgers won't give 2 hoots. If he gets the treble and he says it's going to be his best ever season, you have to take the man at his word. You can debate it as well and work out whether you think it's been a great treble season I personally think that Celtic's performances in Europe and the one that was a heavy defeat that we all questioned whether he'd learnt his lesson or not. I think great credit must go to the Celtic manager for the way they played against Bayern Munich. It still sticks with me as the best display I've seen from Celtic in many a year. And you look back and I think it's up there with what Gordon Strachan, Neil Lennon and Martin O'Neill produced in big games.
Yeah, well, he always said he'd come back to progress in Europe, and he's done that, and they were particularly good in the most of the games, and if it's a progression that they're looking for, I think the Celtic supporters will be looking for that again next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, in the Championship, big game. We've got a brilliant documentary coming out of Falkirk. It's either going to be Falkirk the Champions or Can You Believe They Blew It? We don't know what the title is going to be in this documentary yet, but we're certainly filming it as we go along, wondering. Thought it was going to be last weekend, didn't quite materialise. Now they're at Firhill. And a number of their players were on show in the PFA Teams of the Year, and Blair Malloy was there to cover it.
Here at the Hilton Hotel in Glasgow, the PFA Championship, League One and League Two Player of the Year nominees have been announced. It's no surprise that the Championship shortlist has been populated by players from the three teams that have been vying for the league title all season. There's Kelvin Miller and Brad Spencer from Falkirk, Robbie Muirhead from Livingston, and Jay Henderson is in there from Ayr United. Falkirk, they could have wrapped up the title last weekend, but were undone by late goals in that defeat to Wraith Rovers. However, they know that a win tonight against Partick Thistle will all but seal the Championship title. And for forward Kelvin Miller, it's all about embracing the pressure at this time of the season.
We've got a squad that's really harsh on ourselves in a good sense, and I feel like that's why we've always bounced back in disappointment moments. So I think Friday nights, Partick are still fighting for something as well, and so are we. So we always want to go get first, and they want to get fourth for playoffs. So it'll be a tough game, and two teams will probably have different game plans, but no, I think you just got to relish these moments.
Scott Arfield has chipped in with 8 goals since arriving at Falkirk in January, and Brad Spencer says it's all about tapping into the 36-year-old's experience of these big games.
He's obviously been there and done it, played in Europa League finals I think he played in, and obviously won leagues with Rangers, everything like that, been with Burnley all these years, Huddersfield. So I think to anybody that comes in and doesn't learn anything off him or take anything off him would be quite daft of ourselves. So it's just about remaining focused, and he's stressed that as much as everybody else.
Tune in across all of PLZ Soccer's social media channels, as we'll be back here on Monday, where the Scottish Premiership, Scottish Young Player and Scottish Women's Player of the Year nominees are announced.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And PLZ Soccer, our reporters at all the main grounds at the weekend, all through the season. We've been bringing you previews of the big games. We've been in post-match reaction from managers and players as well. And right across our social media channels, thank you for liking, sharing and following what we are doing. And your support for our programming on our YouTube channel has been absolutely magnificent. So thank you for that. Okay, Falkirk.
I think they'll win comfortably tonight and win the league.
Yeah.
No, Partick Thistle will just nick that.
Okay, there you are. Ruffy's still waving the banner as ever. Just a quick nod to Liverpool. They'll beat Tottenham. Ange might win the Europa League and get sacked.
Well, need to win the Europa League or he's definitely getting sacked. It's a one-game season for him now. Or 2 games, 2 ties.
Yeah.
But Liverpool, I think Liverpool will win comfortably.
Ruffy?
Yeah, they've been way ahead of everybody in consistency this year.
Yeah, a wee word for Jamie Vardy. I'm not a big fan of him, but I'm a big fan of him as a goal scorer.
I'm a big fan of him because he's loyal to that club.
Yeah.
He could have moved to a bigger club at the end of most seasons, but he's hung on in there and he's done his bit.
Yeah, he is a great noise up if he scores a goal though. He loves a noise up.
Aye, I think where he's came from, non-league, and I think he signed him for Fleetwood Town or something for £1 million. I think he's been tremendous, probably their best ever player, to be honest, and his trophy haul. So I still think he's got something to offer. And you never know, you might see him in Scotland next year.
Yeah, okay. There's a wee sniff. I don't think so. Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, Man City semi-finals. I'm going for Villa and City to contest that
Yeah.
FA Cup final. Yeah, you on that? Yep. Okay, give us your point of view. We'd love to hear from you. There's lots more coming on PLZ Soccer. Everything that you watch at the moment is absolutely free and will remain so. PLZ Premium has been launched. If you want to join it, you'll get exclusive content, access to so many other features, and of course some special discount rates in our shop as well. It's ideal if you're looking for birthday presents for any of your family, and you get a wee discount rate. And there are so many other things that you can look forward to. On Monday we'll announce a special event which I think you might be interested in. But PLZ Premium, you can click on the link and find out how you can get involved in supporting PLZ Soccer, one of the top digital sports channels in Scotland. You've got TNT, Premier Sports, BBC and Sky in there, and we are battling against them. We're, as Martin O'Neill once said, Tam, we're punching above our weight in this Champions League.
We are the Davids against their Goliaths.
Absolutely fantastic. Ruffy's just working out how that battle ended. He hasn't quite seen the league table on David Goliath.
That's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Tam, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button on our channel. And if you want to join the premium team on PLZ Premium, we'd be absolutely delighted. Thank you for listening and watching.